Okay guys, and we're back. So this bench is where we left off. This is probably my favorite bench in the greenhouse, if you couldn't tell. It is looking pretty good right now, and will hopefully be looking even better come late summer, early fall. And then we will move on to the next bench. So this one is mostly hybrids with a few interesting things thrown in. Let's see. First up, we do have a small Edwardsiana. Just repotted this one, and they always seem to hate that for me. So hopefully we get a picture here, but you never know. Then we'll move onward. This is a truncata, something, Mira hybrid, I believe. We have Red Princess from Sam. Ooh, we have the Succubus. So this one, I grow a lot of different Lowland ventricosa clones. Honestly, none even come close. This one is stout, its pitchers hold this amazing shape, and the color, oh my goodness, it is just incredible. Then we have a Spathulata crossed with Veitchii. Oh man, just look at that guy. As we move onward, there's another one of its pitchers. This one I just moved. When it developed, it was underneath a pitcher, so it's a little wonky looking. And move on this way. Here's a new Succubus pitcher just opening up, probably just in the last day or so, but hasn't colored up quite yet. This is a beautiful hybrid here. It's Ephipiata crossed with Glandulifera. So pretty good even split between the two. And we have another Hamada crossed with Red Harry. Relatively a new cutting, but it is coming along. Oh man, and then this one here is one of the Rigidifolia crossed with Spectabilis that is just a spectacular spotted, dark color and looking good. Move on this way. This is a Dubia hybrid, most likely crossed with Jamban, but definitely looks a little more like Dubia than it does Jamban. And a little Gilbrata here. This one, man, it loves it for me in the summer. During the winter, it is just not so happy. So these are its first kind of pictures for me. This is another one of Wistubas I've had for years, and I just love it. We'll look up in the rafters. Here's Aristo crossed with Mira. What else we got? A couple hybrids this way. A couple kind of Ephipiata, Utricularia, or Orchiaceae we'll call it, because they have such big flowers. Here's another one of those Jack, Aime, Azumie things. Just a nice hourglass or wine glass shaped pitcher. And here's a ball of moss that has some really nice Utricularia in it. Then you can see the Jacquelinia from a distance, the Edwardsiana, and the Mikei. And if you look really far in that corner, that is a red Tobaica, which is one of my fastest growing Nepenthes. I took tons of cuttings on it just last year, and now it probably already has, I'm gonna guess at least 20 pictures on it, probably close to 30. We missed that one somehow, so let's go back, take a look. We're not in a hurry. If you guys wanna go do something else, go for it, but with COVID still out and about, you might as well watch a YouTube video of a greenhouse. So, let's see here. Just look at this plant. It is just already back up in the rafters, tons of pictures, and such a cute little plant. Like, each picture in itself is not all that spectacular, but everything works out well when it's all combined. Here's a one I missed as well. This is a Ventricosa Clone K, a nice male clone. This one I just repotted, moved around, so just starting to get some good pictures on it again. Probably either my favorite or second favorite clone of Ventricosa. The Longwood porcelain clone may be slightly better, but holy cow, this one from Exotica is different and just as nice. Okay, so let's turn around here slowly. we'll try not to get you guys too dizzy, and hopefully you guys can get a overview of everything without it going pixelated. But luckily, most of these new phones these days take pretty good high definition video. And we'll go on back, give you an overview here. We were just ending here. Here's a really nice Ramaspina here. This one is kind of difficult to grow for me, but has a few nice pictures on it at the moment. Something like this, and it's so dark the phone is having a little trouble focusing, but there we go. Solid plant. You can see kind of an upper picture over this way. And this one is actually an upper picture of what is most likely Sanguinea crossed with Ramaspina. So that comes all the way over here from this picture here. So again, kind of a mix between the two. Then we have some really nice predators over here. This is a Truncata Hamada hybrid from Exotica from quite a while back. And they are beautiful. Have I think 3 different clones, 2 males and a female, but such nice plants. Okay, let's move onward this way. Keep on moving. This one I really like. It's a Hamada crossed with Singulana. This is the standard Hamada, and I don't know which form of Singulana they used, but I love it because it keeps so many pictures on it at once and has really nice color, really nice shape, and pretty good teeth as well. Obviously not quite like Hamada, but not bad. And then while we're here, this is the original Aimee. So this one is a very old clone, I think in the US since at least the 80s, maybe a little bit earlier. As you can see, the lower pictures don't look quite like you'd expect on Aimee. This is kind of an intermediate picture here, and then one more intermediate picture, and then my guess is, where is it? This one probably will be a true upper picture when it opens, and it does have the classic hourglass shape to it, but I'm not entirely sure which mountain they found it on, but it is still a really, really cool plant. And let's see, just while I'm back here, guess what we have? Right next to me, still the Jeff Wong Veitchii, just making a surprise appearance. We'll move on up. This is Nepenthes something or other. You guys help me out. It's not a Fipiata, but it sounds something like that. And I will look at the tag real quick because my mind is drawing a blank. And it's a relatively new species. Fipiata. There we go. No. Something along those lines. And we will continue on, but as you can see, it is headed way up in the rafters and has really nice wine glass shaped pictures. Okay, then we'll head back down. Here's a little Lowii crossed with Jacquelinia. Shoot. Just as I'm saying, the phones work so good, they're not focusing right, but there we go. Then have another Lowii here. This one is relatively new cutting that has actually struggled for a little while, but seems to have finally pictured and seems happy. This is Spectabilis crossed with Veitchii. And that one, as it matures, gets even better. And then Lowii something, Campanulata something with a really nice peristome. Whew. Looks good too. Then this is a hybrid between a red hairy Hamada and probably a Tentac, but either way, not quite the teeth that red hairy has, but a little more than most Tentacs. And continue moving along. This looks like some sort of Glandulifera hybrid. And I've forgotten exactly which one, so let's take a gander. Densiflora glandulifera. So that is a pretty nice one here. And continue on. Ventricosa macfarlanii. This is actually one of my oldest Nepenthes. Honestly, I got rid of the big plant a while back. It was just way too big, so I kept this cutting, and that's about the right size for it. It's not all that spectacular, but still kind of good memories because I've had it so long. Man, and this is an amazing Tentac. As you can see, pictures nearly black, purplish black. This one I believe is from Gunning Raja, and it is just super happy. Another Tentac there. I forget which mountain that one's from, but has a little bit more kind of purple to it. Ooh, then we have another Velosa pitcher. Man, that does not get old. This is a little bit smaller plant, but it is still coming along really good. Man, I just am worried about them anytime something goes even slightly wrong, because they are delicate, and this plant is, I think, 25 years old. Might even be closer to 30 years old now. 25. So it is a old one. Ooh, then here is a beautiful Gilbrata. Let's see. Look at the size of that. Pretty good sized pictures. They look like they've been hand painted, and they are just stunning. As we continue around, here's a Diatus, which I've had this one a long time, pretty close to killed it, and then it's coming back. 2003, so it has been in my collection for a little while now. Actually, that might have been from my first Wistuba order, so a little earlier than I was guessing. And we'll move on around. Here's a really good size Mira back here. I was actually growing this one underneath the bench, and it got to the top of the bench, didn't appreciate that, so have moved it since up here, and it'll be a lot happier. A couple Utricularias there. Ooh, and here's a Longwood porcelain clone of Ventricosa. So this one, I have two new upper pictures on it, but honestly the lower pictures are the best because they have these spectacular shape, hourglass shape with bright red cherry lips. This is actually clone C from Exotica, which is very similar to the porcelain clone and seems to usually get passed around as the porcelain clone, even if it's not. Then this is actually Jeff Schaefer's Alba clone, but no really nice pictures on it right now. Again, very similar, but not quite the same as the Longwood clone. We'll come on down here. This is a really nice Hereliana or Mullis crossed with Veitchii, depending on what year you're watching this. And that's just a relatively newly rooted cutting, and that's its first picture since rooting. We'll keep on coming around. What else we got here? This is a fun one. This is Platykyla. This is a really nice clone that I got from Jeff Schaefer a little while back, and it's already a couple feet tall. These two pictures have faded, but then this one and this one looking super nice, and then it's going up to like a true upper picture that just opened, so we'll see how that one looks in a few weeks. Now as we come on down, here's a really nice, this is actually a Rigidifolia, one of the rarest Nepenthes in the wild, almost certainly, and it's still pretty rare in cultivation. Needs to be put in tissue culture and bred with that, so it's not poached from the wild, because that is obviously not a good thing. Ooh, we have this one. This is I believe it's Ovada crossed with Rob Cantley. I'm a sucker for any Rob Cantley crosses, and Ovada is just as spectacular. We'll move on around, blah, blah, blah. Then we have Veitchii crossed with Bashiana. Always always a showstopper. You get constant 1-foot pitchers, and they're colorful. Can't complain about that at all. Then this is another Lowii truncata. This one is the wide peristome. So I've had this one a little while now, and it's just about to be too big for a hanging basket. So probably within the next leaf or two, it'll come on down and it'll sit on a bench. Then we have this really nice undulatifolia here. Let's see. Yes, so look at that one. Come on around. Just this awesome squat ping pong ball shaped pitcher. And that is what the whole plant itself looks like. And it is beautiful. Okay, we'll keep making our way around. Here's some nice tiviae. This one is the Red Queen, and it is a really nice clone. But then we also have the Cal State Fullerton clone up here, which is maybe a little more yellow, but nonetheless, it is pretty darn nice too. Move on around. So this is actually my mother plant of the Humboldtii crossed with Alpina. So I keep it in a hanging basket and has its first flower of the season for me, and I'm sure we'll have more soon. Okay, so this side of the greenhouse is mostly like cuttings and new seedlings, or just starting seed. So not a whole lot to look at yet, but they will be in a couple years. And then my peltatas and Raja peltatas, I grow actually so they don't get quite as wet. I have found that for me, they have a tendency to start to rot. So I put this polycarbonate just over the top of them, and that seems to help a lot. And they don't seem to appreciate the cold temperatures in the winter, so they're just pitchering again for me. But this is Nepenthes Leviathan. This one is clone 2. Absolutely spectacular. And then let's see, then we have another one right here. Whew, my goodness, look at that. This one's not a huge picture on it right now, but as you can see, it is super dark. That peristome always stays nice and flared. And I guess I'll see which clone number that is, because it's worth it. That one is actually clone 1. So when it was small, that was my favorite. Then I also keep my peltatas so they don't get quite as wet. Here's a truncata crossed with peltata. This one, it needs a little more space. I don't know how it got shoved way back in there, but I'll organize it here soon. And then my biggest Raja crossed with peltata is this one right here, but no pictures on it right now. It seems to be transitioning into kind of a vining upper pitcher stage. So we'll see what these upper pitchers look like, and maybe if I can get a good sized basal off of it, it might have some of the biggest pitchers of any plant in my greenhouse. It should definitely be right up there. Then we have another cool, this is a peltata crossed with Velosa. So done by Yamada in Japan. Relatively new arrival, relatively new cross, but anything with peltata in it should be amazing. Then we have some Veitchii seedlings, and give you a look from the other side. Okay, so we'll finish off the Nepenthes collection in this greenhouse in the Lowland chamber. So here's kind of an overview of everything from this side, and then this is the Lowland chamber. So let's head over this way. We will open it up and see what's inside. Okay, as you can imagine, growing lowland Nepenthes in a greenhouse in Colorado isn't always the easiest thing ever, but they are really excited for spring and summer. They look amazing. This is the black purple variety of Alba marginata because it has that white rim right underneath the pitcher opening there. Such a cool plant. Then we'll go on down. This is Nepenthes clipiata. Wow, another one of the most endangered nepenthes there is, but this one is doing pretty good again. It has its ups and downs for me, but its leaves are almost a perfect circle with the tendril beginning almost dead center. We'll go on this way. Hopefully the September video, the lowlanders will look quite a bit better. Here, some of the rafts are just starting to picture again after a long, hard winter. This one is by far my biggest. I lost the main growing point and I was so discouraged about it. I thought the whole plant was gonna die, but I have a couple basils coming back and it appears to be fine. Nice size truncata here. Ooh, and look at this veitchii. This is a lowland veitchii. I believe this one's considered the Munich Botanic Garden clone. Well over a foot tall, and as they age, they go this just a golden in color. And these pictures aren't quite as big, but as you can see, this last one, it is enjoying the warmer temperatures. Then this is the golden yellow veitchii that I grow in my lowland chamber as well. It just seems to like it a little bit warmer than out in the main part of the greenhouse. Pretty good sized pitcher. Let's see, that one just opened, but the older ones just turn this beautiful yellow color. Just look at that, and that peristome. Whew, so nice. Go on around. This is the alba form of Hemsliana. So it's a cool plant. This one in the wild is famous because bats will actually roost in the upper pitchers, and this little rib there is what the bats are able to hold on to so they don't get filled with digestive enzymes. Okay, and then another truncata here, and so one of my all-time favorite hybrids that Sam in Hawaii ever made. This is Hamakoa Nicole. Just look at that. It's a hybrid with Campanulata. It just looks like it's been painted. Pretty good size, but a super notoriously difficult plant to grow. Happy that Drew was able to send me a cutting of it a while back, and so far so good. Then right next to it, we have one of the other most difficult lowlanders to grow. This is, of course, Northiana. Look at that little guy, man. Super cool. This was named after a famous biologist painter, and she did some really, really interesting work and painted so many beautiful paintings of plants. I got to see a lot of her original works at Kew Gardens a few years ago, and it was just amazing. There's an older picture on the Hamakoa, and then maybe everyone's favorite lowland plant, Bicalcarda. Look at the teeth, the fangs on that guy. Those fangs are almost an inch long, and it is just a spectacular plant. The size of a small grapefruit here, and it's one that keeps a lot of pitchers open at once. Then we have Diuriana right there. They will produce some of the biggest pitchers for me in this lowland chamber. Then we have the Amp Black Miracle. This one would probably like just a little bit more light, but hey, I like this little clump of pitchers, so I haven't moved it yet. Let's see, it has some upper pitchers on it. Oh yeah, there we go. Still pretty nice and dark, but not quite as black as some I've seen, but should be really cool. And then we have Clossii. So man, some of these are just insanely slow growing for me, so we'll see. I grow them as lowlanders. They do seem to do a little bit better without water sitting on their leaves. My biggest Clossii was actually the last plant I ever received from Tony Parobek before his terrible frost in his greenhouse. Oh man, let me see when I received this. I want to say it was about 2009, but I didn't write 2012. So yeah, had this one a little while, and it's hasn't flowered for me, but it's almost mature, so we'll see. it only keeps about one, maybe 1.5 mature pitchers on it at a time, and like the old ones fade, and just as the new one opens, the old one starts to fade. So that's always a little disappointing. I wish it would hold like 10 or 15 pitchers, but not really. Also, I've found smaller Rob Cantleys. They do really well in more or less lowland conditions. Man, just look at this one. That is just such a great plant. One of the best. Okay, well, you guys, I think that is it for the Nepenthes tour. We're at almost an hour now, so maybe that will be good for today, and then I will come back. I'll do a greenhouse tour part 3, and we'll go through some of the temperate side, all these Sarracenias over here, and some fly traps. Definitely let me know what you thought of this. Like I said, I'm going to really try and do a September video this year. So if there's anything you really want to see in September, definitely leave a comment below. Like the button. I've never tried to make any money off of YouTube, but if this gets enough views, maybe we'll give it a shot. Okay, talk to you all later. Over and out.